I got this from Bell. But for a scientific method, you should do a method scientists use to prove a question and explain it. Ask a question, research, construct a hypothesis, experiment, and make a conclusion, and use it for comparison across the world. Review your basic lab equipment PDF that's in your agenda. It's the funnel, the beaker, the flask, graduated cylinder, etc. In the egg lab, what should happen is the Coke egg gets darker, and then it might crack because the Coke will eat the shell. And then the water should be the same. That's your control. And it might get a little bit bigger, but it shouldn't really change. When you make an observation, you should use only your your five senses. What you see, color, what you smell, if you feel anything, if you hear anything, if you touch it, okay? And you should use quantitative, like if you measure it, you can draw it, draw it. In inference, you make a conclusion based on your observations. So you look at something, my computer has a crack in it, and there's smoke coming out of it, therefore I think it's broken. So your inference is like a conclusion. You read the graduated cylinder by looking at the meniscus, the bottom edge of the graduated cylinder. Your independent variables are the thing that causes the change, and your dependent variable is what the measurement will be. And you read the effect of the change. The control is what we use to compare things to. It won't be tested. A physical property is characteristics of an object, like its mass, weight, and color, density, things that don't change. Chemical properties are found by finding out what's different. Like you mix two things together. You mix two things together and you get a new agent, a new material. The rating for the question should have done it already, but just physical properties of the material around you, color, shape, size, whatever. If the water vapor in the air change state below freezing point, it go from gas to solid because it turned to ice. Talk about how solids differ from liquids and gas. Normally talk about in terms of volume. Solids have a fixed volume, they don't change shape. Liquids volume will be fluid, it'll move around, it normally takes the shape of the container, and gases don't have set volumes. You can draw it for me. Talk about, it's just the different phases. Difference between mass and weight. Mass is regardless of gravity. So if you're 100 grams on Earth, your mass would still be 100 grams of matter, but your weight would be different on the moon because weight is a function of gravity. Is your mass times gravity. Volume is the amount of space you occupy, normally measured in cubic units. We talked about physical properties already. And normally, like since sand and water don't mix, you can filter them out. Density is mass divided by volume, and solubility is if something will dissolve.